It's Reini from Stormbringer Magazine. We're in Vienna with Phil from Monster Magnet. Phil, you're now on the European tour together with Seventh Void. How was the tour so far, besides that you saw a lot of snow and it's damn cold outside?
It's great. It's great to be back on tour. You know, really happy to have Seventh Void with us. I think it's been a really good bill. You know, we wanted to bring like more of a rock bill. You know, like I think the two bands are really compatible, and it's been a lot of fun. These guys are great to be with, and we're just having a good old time. You know, it's great to be back on tour. You know, it's great to be back. You know, like we've done like the UK. We started in Germany, left Germany really fast, and then got up to Scandinavia. And I have to say that it's really, really good to be back in like Austria, then Germany tomorrow. You know, it feels. It's been a long tour, but you know, we're still at it. And we're going strong.
You're promoting your actual album, Mastermind. The album seems to have the best reviews you had in some time. Are you at a point in your career where you just don't care about reading into reviews about your records, or is it always cool to see that, especially the new album, get these great reviews?
Well, it's great to see the reviews. Like me personally, I never really pay attention to that. I like to play guitar and do my thing and work on the records, and if people like them, that's great. Like I never really care what the reviewers say. I care about like seeing the fans. You know, the fans are way more important than any kind of review, and like all of my favorite bands from all time always got really bad reviews. So, you know, I won't even go there. But you know, it's nice to see the good reviews. You know, I could sit here and say that like, oh, I don't care about reviews, but when you put a lot of hard work into something, and you see that the people appreciate it, the hard work that Dave and I and the rest of the guys did, you know, it makes you feel good about what you did. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the record a lot.
Might you think that especially the decision before Mastermind to tour properly and take your time was the right to help that Mastermind was so well received now?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a plan that when Dave called me and asked me to come back to the band, and we kind of put this whole thing into play. We're like, we wanted to make sure it's something that the both of us really wanted to do again, and we decided the way to do it would be to tour as much as we could, and then when it was time to do a record, like the plans for Mastermind were in place for quite a while, and Dave had an idea of how he wanted to go about recording it, and then he approached me with that, and we were like, yeah, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to record the record in kind of an kind of how we used to do things years ago, like when Dave and I grew up together, you know. And it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun to go back and do things in that fashion, and you know, do it close to home. You know, we always were going away to do records, whether it be Vancouver or Los Angeles or something like that. We did everything in New Jersey. And then for the end of it, we did some work in L.A., and it was really a lot of fun, you know, like to be home doing the bulk of the record. We did a lot in my studio as well, and, you know, I'm really happy with how it came out.
For me, Mastermind has a lot of records like Power Trip or God Says No in it, but you managed to transport it in 2010. Did you maybe change a little bit in the recording process or in the songwriting process? Well, when we compare it to Four Way Diablo, for instance.
Well, Four Way Diablo was kind of tough because, you know, I wasn't around for the recording of it, but I worked on all the demos of it, and it was like we wanted to go back to a time more or less our influences. You know what I mean? Not so much Monster Magnet records, and when you go back to Dave's influences and my influences of how music's recorded and performed and stuff, you go back to a certain time of like, you know, how records were done then. That's kind of how, you know, Dopes to Infinity, Power Trip, and God Says No. Like, I think God Says No is a very underrated Monster Magnet record. You know, and it's taken a lot of years for people to really appreciate that record. And there were elements of those records that were kind of like, we didn't really think about to bring those elements into this new record, and it just kind of happened because of our older influences. And we're really happy with the way it came out, you know, like, and I think a lot of it had to do with the plan that Dave put into place of how we were actually going to do it, like the bass being very prominent, the drums being really punchy, and not over tracking stuff and making it like kind of like so we could turn everything up. When you put too much in the recordings, everything fights one another, and you can't turn. We wanted everything to be big and bold and happy, so that's what we did.
Some words on the cover artwork, because the bulldog probably never looked that mean as on this cover artwork. You worked with the guys from Invisible Creature who did Wolf Mother, I guess, Foo Fighters in the past. How was working with them, and was the idea behind the cover artwork mainly from you, or did you let the guys work and choose their...
It was mainly from Dave. You know, Dave had some ideas, and we saw some artwork that was submitted for the record, and we were like, that's really not what we want to do. We really wanted the artwork to really match the music. And as we started to look for people, Invisible Creatures came up, man, and they were fantastic. Everything that like was like everything that they sent in initially was like, wow, we could really work with this. And Dave was like getting the emails and like immediately sending them to me. He was like, this is great, this is great. And we just wanted it to match, you know, like I was really happy when Dave showed me some of the stuff that was submitted, and we were both looking at each other, shrugging our shoulders, like, not that the artwork wasn't good, it's just that it didn't match the music, and we wanted the whole package to be what it is. We wanted it to be the Mastermind record. You know what I mean? The Mastermind recording and the Mastermind era of Monster Magnet, because as much as, you know, some people are onto some of the things that were similar to the past, we wanted to bring the band to a spot in the future where the direction we want to start heading, and not to fall into the trap of a lot of bands that may be in our position. You just always relying on what you did in your past. It's like, that's where we're going back to the touring, like touring a lot, and like we're around again. This is like, we're not going to go on nostalgia. We want to, you know, do a record. We wanted to do a record and deliver a record like, okay, this is Monster Magnet now, especially at our age and what we've done, what we've all been through personally. Let's move this thing forward. So with the artwork, we wanted to get something as iconic as our music. You know what I mean? We wanted a stamp that like, boom, this is it. Here we go. We're going from here.
We're here in Austria today, and there's nowadays a very strong Austrian connection between Monster Magnet and our country, because your record company, Napalm Records, is located about 200 kilometers from here.
Let's drive over there. Let's tell those guys, give me some more dough.
You saw the announcement. Watch your beers, because the record company is in the house. It's on your list
you know,
today.
those record company guys come in, you know, they don't want to, don't even get me started. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think that, like, I've always loved coming here, and I honestly don't know as much about the label as maybe Dave does, but I know that, you know, it was a real pleasure to get involved again and to do a record for, you know, a European label, and then the European label being out of Austria just made sense for us. It's like the communication is really, really good. It's always been, this part of the world between Austria and Germany has always been very supportive of this band, and again, the fans. You know, I mean, the fans from Germany and Austria have always been really receptive, and like, it's almost like they understand us more than almost anywhere else, and it's great. It's a great feeling.
Let's get back to the live show. With this strong record, Mastermind, in your hand, of course you will play new songs, but how hard is it to pick now the new songs with the songs you have to play for the fans?
It's very difficult. I mean, every night we get, oh, how come you didn't play this? How come you didn't play that? And it's like, well, okay, if you can book us 2 nights, we'll change everything up and we'll give you another set. But yeah, we got a lot of material to choose from, so our approach is always to give what we feel is the set that works the best. You know, so we try to give a little bit of everything, and that's what's so much fun about this tour, is that we're doing songs that the band hasn't played in over 15 years, and that's great. So now we have a great mixture of the old and new, and it's really great to see how the fan reaction and how the new songs are fitting in with even the older stuff that we haven't played for years. I mean, forget about Power Trip and Dopes to Infinity. We're going back to doing stuff off of like Spine of God that we haven't done forever. You know, and it's great to be able to do that, and that you see the common thread through all the material, and that the new stuff sits with it like this, you know, and it's great. It's a lot of fun.
You talked about years. You're now 20 years plus in Monster Magnet, and I guess you went a lot of ups and downs in all this time.
Oh, yeah.
What was, let's say, the proudest moment in those 20 years you've been in the band?
Well, I have to say, for me, I mean, as cliche as it might say, is like Mastermind. You know what I mean? Like this new record. I mean, because of everything that Dave went through personally and that I went through personally. You know, a lot of guys would have just thrown in the towel. You know, even when we did the touring, you know, over the last couple of years, it was really, you know, the fans really liked it. We could have just really just stayed with that and stayed on the nostalgia thing and just come over and done, you know, festivals and stuff. But with the recording of Mastermind, I feel like all the hard times and all of the years that were put in it, with everybody's own personal ups and downs, with delivering a record like this and being on tour supporting it and seeing the fan reaction and the journalist reaction to this record, I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that like we were able to do and stick to Dave's plan and my plan of how we wanted to record it. You know, it's so easy when you're making a record to take a shift and go another direction. But we just stuck to our guns and fought through it and worked really, really hard to make the record we really wanted to make. And that's a very good feeling. It's a very proud feeling.
Okay, let's take a look in the future, because on December 24th, Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead will get unbelievable 65 years old. So when you now imagine, when you will be 65, can you imagine yourself still being on tour, being like Lemmy, the whiskey bottle waving party animal?
Well, Lemmy is my favorite rock star of all time. Motorhead is really like, I love them. We were talking about it on the bus the other night, from the first time I heard them to the first time I saw them. You know, most people know that Dave and I are huge Hawkwind fans, and I can only, you know, Lemmy's 65 years old. I think for him it's 65 years young. You know what I mean? And it's amazing to see how great he is. And one of my a few years back, I had the pleasure of playing with Hawkwind with Lemmy on bass for the song Silver Machine at a festival in Finland, and I was just like, after this night, I can just hang up my guitar and break them all in half and throw them in the fire and just never play again. I was so happy. I hope that, you know, people stick with us that long. I hope that we could still be doing it. Maybe because I don't know how to do anything else, and it would be great to be able to do it. But that's what's so great about Lemmy, is that's it. That's what he does. You know, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, I hope to still be doing it. And I think that's one of the things also, too, with what I was saying before of some of the other sounds that Monster Magnet has introduced with Mastermind. I think we can go, Dave and I can go longer with it and have another chunk of years with the new era of Monster Magnet. So one of the things that always happened with Monster Magnet, a lot of our fans, you know, we have the Spine of God Super Judge era. Then we have everybody who wants Dopes to Infinity and Power Trip. And then God Says No being like a sleeper of a record, like God Says No and Monolithic being like that's an era that gets a little funny with some of the fans. And everybody like, we can't do Spine of God forever. We can't do Super Judge forever. We want to, you know, go forward. And I think that's why, you know, Mastermind and some of the other things that Dave and I want to do with some of the other projects, like the Studio 13 stuff, and just keep putting out music and keep going. So hopefully we have the longevity that some of our favorite musicians and artists have had.
Phil, thank you very much for your time, and for the rest of the 20 years or all you need for the 65.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.